What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. It's about to be January 1st tomorrow. I'm in Thailand, so it's not cold as it would be in my country. I wanted to talk about the fact that semen retention will not make your life better, and it does and it doesn't. Um, a lot of people they are in the transitioning phase, as I am, and they go on streaks and then they fall, and then when they fall they don't feel good. The days they don't feel as present, their energy isn't as strong, people don't react as nice, they're not as balanced, the things they do are not as engaging, and then they go on streaks and all of a sudden they notice their own magnetism, they're more charismatic and people respond better, and the sun feels nicer, the little things feel nicer, and we almost sort of depend on semen retention for our mental state or to feel good, quote unquote. But what an advanced practitioner learns is that semen retention doesn't make you more happy. What do I mean by that? At the end of the day, you will still have bad days. You will still be subject to the laws of duality, meaning whatever goes up must come down. But here's the essential thing, and this is also what it means to truly follow God, is you choose what the bad stuff is, so that God can choose what are the good stuff which He's gonna give you. What do I mean by that? When we live a hedonistic lifestyle, aka we live out our fleshly nature, we live for the enemy. What we do is we choose the good that we want to feel, meaning I will choose to feel good because of this joint, because of sexual indulgence, because of pride, because of laziness, not putting in the work and scrolling, dopamine frying my brain. We choose the good stuff. So the only thing that is left for the laws of duality to give us is the bad stuff. And well, the bad stuff is gonna be we don't feel aligned with our purpose. We probably are depressed because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We don't work out, we're lazy, and all the things that we could be building up, we're not building up. And since everything is exponential over time, instead of getting better as people, we start to stagnate and get worse, because not only is stagnating not making any progress, you're walking backwards, because time is limited. You don't have forever, at least in this incarnation, or at least it's appearing as such in this lifetime. And I wouldn't bet on the fact that you will have 100 lifetimes. Look at it, God made it so you think you're gonna die for a reason. So use your life, use your time. Don't sit there and think, oh, you'll have forever. Have some urgency. So what ends up happening on semen retention, and generally as we progress towards God and we start to change our lives up for the better, and we start to sacrifice the short term for the long term, is we choose the pain. We no longer choose to do what makes us feel good. We choose to do what requires discipline, what requires self-control, what requires effort, and with effort there is always negative feelings attached to it, or some type of negative emotions, because we all want to just feel good all the time and do what's easy, but obviously we don't, because we know where that gets us to. So what I'm trying to say is that as you revamp your life, you no longer choose the stuff that makes you feel good. You choose the stuff that is difficult and hard. But because of the laws of duality, this now has to balance out. And the way it balances out, the good stuff that you're about to receive are going to be the things of God, because you have chosen the unpleasant things yourself. So the law of duality will balance out again. See, here's what I'm trying to get at. When you live a hedonistic lifestyle, it's not like Satan is giving you depression. Satan doesn't want you to have depression when it comes to that. Satan wants you to stay in his kingdom and to be led astray. It is God which is giving you the depression in order to make you realize, look, this is where your decisions lead you to. This will not bring you lasting peace. This is temporary. This is short term. So God chooses how the other side of the duality, which is already embedded in this realm, is going to play out through depression or sadness or loneliness or a disalignment with your purpose or social anxiety or whatever. Whereas if you choose the suffering, God is then allowed to choose how the other side of duality will balance out again through the stuff which you feel which is good. So he can choose the good stuff which you're gonna feel, which is, you're gonna feel accomplished, you're gonna have a sense of pride, but not, a pride in him really, because essentially the source of our pride should be Jesus Christ. We should have zero pride in us because we are nothing, and all of our pride, all of our accomplishment, everything that we have, we ascribe to Jesus Christ, and our pride is in Jesus Christ. And if we have pride in Jesus Christ, we can be bold as lions, because God says it in the Bible, he who humbles himself will be exalted, and he who exalts himself will be humbled. What this means is that when you live for Christ and your pride is in Christ, you will have more confidence than everybody else, but you will not have a dominating confidence. You will have a confidence to do good, confidence to do what is right. And it's a hint to this natural law of duality. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled. Whoever through his own needs and desires, through his own ego, chooses to do what feels good in the now, will be humbled through depression, meaninglessness, despair, nihilism. Whereas if you humble yourself, you decrease and you do what is right, and you step into the archetype of sacrificing yourself for the greater good, where if you look at it through, this is like if you work out, let's say, you sacrifice yourself for the greater good. You sacrifice your time and your effort and your dopaminic need to always feel good for progress, right? This is, you're embodying Jesus in that moment when you work out, because you sacrifice yourself for the greater good. So when you do these things, God will exalt you because you have humbled yourself, you have decreased, and then afterwards God is going to be able to reward you. But because it's always in balance, you always have good and bad. So if you don't allow God to choose the good for you, he's only going to be able to choose the bad for you. And even the bad things will be used for goodness if you dare to turn to him and to take on responsibility and finally do what is right and do the things you should be doing. But only when we truly start to choose our battles and choose our suffering can God fully bless us. Because it's like this, God has this whole room full of gifts and he wants to give them to us. But whenever you choose your own pleasure, to the degree you choose your own pleasure, because of the law of duality, God is not able to give you all the gifts and blessings which he wants you to give you. And trust me, God's gifts and blessings are what you really want. God's gifts and blessings are what's going to make you lastingly happy. So whenever you choose to pursue your own pleasure, to the degree you do that, God cannot give you his gifts and blessings. And to the degree you choose to suffer, you choose to embody Christ and suffer for righteousness' sake, God is able to give you the gifts because of the law of duality. You see what I'm hinting to, right? Because the laws are already in place. Yes, God is conscious. Yes, God can put his divine hand into your lives and change your life, but there are laws in place which you will not go around. The Bible says it too. You might sin, you might be forgiven of your sin, but you will face the consequences of your sin. It doesn't matter if you're saved or not. If you sexually indulge, you will sin against your own body. You will speed up hair loss. You will speed up aging. You will weaken your brain, your muscles, and your legs, and your mental capacity, and your energy, and your magnetic field. Like, you will weaken all of these things, even though you might inherit the kingdom, because you are not exempt from the consequences of your sin, right? These laws are in place. And what happens is when we, for example, practice semen retention and we get on longer streaks, is that we align with the cosmic laws. Because here's the thing, it is not semen retention in of itself, but the fact that you are able to stay on semen retention and the fact that you are interested in semen retention and pursue semen retention is a metaphor to where you're at spiritually and how your lifestyle habits and choices look like. And the more we purify these things, the more we purify ourselves, the more we humble ourselves, the more we walk within these laws, and we appear lucky, and coincidences happen, synchronicities, and things that the rational mind looks at and is like, that's not a sign. But your intuition looks at it and is like, yeah, that's a sign. I know it's a sign. My whole life is full of signs. I'm getting signs every single day. But it's because see you have to see your life. You have to realize your life is conscious. Your life is created by a conscious entity that wants to guide you through your surroundings and experiences, and that everything that happens to you happens for a reason. Because that's what it means. That's what it entails to believe in a God. You cannot lend from an atheistic worldview, believe in a God and believe in accidents and believe that some things in your reality are accidental. Either everything from the ground up is conscious, created, and full with meaning, or it is, as the atheistic worldview would propose, random, meaningless, and temporal. So things can appear atheistic from the flesh, from the physical senses. They can appear random, they can appear unjust or unlucky. But once we start to align with this inner power, with the divine, we can see that every single thing, no matter how small or minor, is conscious, is meant for us, and is a sign. Every single thing. If it is from the YouTube videos you watch to the people you hang around with work, it's all a metaphor. The job you have, the friends you have, the girlfriend you have or don't have, the goals you have, everything is a metaphor. Your whole life is a metaphor, because everything is conscious and always trying to bring you towards the place you need to go. And this is also why a lot of you, and me too, we have reoccurring patterns, right? For example, if you're stuck in a 9 to 5, or if you're stuck in a habitual sin, it repeats. Why? Because you're not learning the lesson. That's why God is repeating it. If you're not seeing the spiritual sign in your reality, in your surroundings, it will repeat. The sign will stay there until you read it and follow the sign. This is why sin repeats. Sin is a sign. When you smoke, you continuously smoke. You do the same action. You walk, metaphorically, you walk in a circle, right? Again, not physically, spiritually. You walk in a circle. That's why the sign repeats. If you're stuck in a 9 to 5, because I truly believe that if you are chosen of God and you answer his calling, which is a whole different thing, you're not supposed to be in a 9 to 5. Maybe some people, but maybe a 9 to 5 you enjoy. But if I'm talking about this dreaded dead end stuck 9 to 5, which you hate every second of it, and you suffer it every day and you don't understand. There is a lesson there. There is something that you're not getting. There's something that you're not learning, something that you're not doing. Maybe that is just the hint or the reminder that you gotta escape it and then put in the work in order that you can escape it, or whatever it is. If it repeats, it is a sign by definition. This is why you have, reoccurring patterns. You have the 4 seasons. You have the world which spins around. You have a lot of rhythm, repetition, because these are all signs of something greater. It's the signs are everywhere. It's the whole realm is full of signs. If you just look up at the sky, and then you have the light within the darkness at day, or at day you have the light, and at night you have the darkness, right? And just a little moon which only reflects the light but isn't the light in of itself, because you're in darkness, and then you're awake at night, or you're awake during the day, and you wake up early in the morning, or you wake up later. Like, do you align yourself with the sun? Do you wake up early? Like, it's like these things, every single thing is a metaphor. Even this chain I'm wearing, what is it signalizing? Why am I wearing a chain around my neck? What is this chain for? Why do I wear jewelry? Do I want to appeal to somebody else, or am I wearing this for myself? I'm not wearing this for myself. If I was to never meet a person again, I wouldn't wear this chain. I wear it for the approval of others. As dumb as it sounds, I wear it for the approval of others. So what am I doing? I'm putting a chain around my neck. It's a metaphor, because I'm a slave to the approval of others. Or you're wearing a tie. What is a tie? Why do you think they make the tie the way they do? They put one around your neck and then a string. What is it? What is it? It's all metaphors, right? And you have to look at everything that way. You have to look at your life, at your surroundings, everything that happens to you, the people that are around you. And you have to see that everything is a metaphor. Everything. And everything is always conspiring to bring you to where you need to go, to bring you to God's blessings and gifts. Because for as long as you do not choose the suffering fully, and everything you do is choosing to suffer for what is right and good and will bring you forward, you cannot yet experience the full gifts and blessings that God wants to give you. Because the law of duality, right? This is why even if you do semen retention, your life won't just get happy, but it gets hard in a different sense. You choose the hard now. You choose to put in the work. You choose to embrace the suffering, and God can bless you. Because when you stop blessing yourself and you let God bless you, that's when you get the real blessings. That's when you actually get somewhere, and not just to an empty deception. But you have to choose the suffering. Because life's still as much good as it is bad for as long as you're here, because you're subject to the laws of duality. But here's the thing. You can choose to put in the work and feel bad for it. Or you can reap the fruits of your indulgence, which is depression. Which thing feels worse? Even though they both feel bad in the moment, which of those two feels worse? The bad that you face because of meaninglessness and unluckiness, or the bad that you face because of purpose and meaning? Let me give you this example. If you suffer under an atheistic worldview, your suffering is entirely unlucky and unjust, and you could be not suffering. And every single second you suffer is time you will never get back again, that you could have been happy, but you suffered it. So you're like extremely like unlucky. It's almost like you could almost say eternally unlucky, even though from an atheistic point of view, life's gonna end pretty soon and it's all gonna be black. But you're like divinely unlucky, or I don't even know how to put it, because it's like this is all you have, this little life, and then you're unlucky. Like how, you're like extremely unlucky, because these guys are all having fun and I'm born into poverty. Like how unlucky. And this is all there is. Like you lost the randomness, you lost the roll of the dice, so you're like even more unlucky. Or you suffer for a cause, you suffer for a reason. You might even have depression for a reason, because it's going to lead you to see and change, So you might have the same suffering, but when you live in spirit, the suffering is not as painful, because you suffer for a reason. You face the same amount of pain, but now your pain is just. Your pain, you can see farther. You're not stuck in the carnality of the pain which you're facing right now, but you see spiritually. You see where the pain is going to lead you to. And this puts you into spirit. You live out the spirit. You live in spirit. Hence, you don't suffer the suffering. Because it's one thing to suffer. It's another thing to suffer the fact that you suffer. And this is what atheism does to you. This is what a lack of God does to you. You suffer the fact that you're suffering. Whereas with God, you can embrace the fact that you're suffering. So it's not the same type of suffering. And it's not the same type of gifts, on the other hand. Satan's gifts are dopamine, they're empty, you walk in a circle. God's gifts are you accomplishing your goals and you genuinely moving forward and helping people. So it's all a metaphor. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever surrounds you, whatever people are around you, your friends, your acquaintances, they're all metaphors. If you're alone, you can't get along with anybody. You're so different to everybody else. That's a metaphor. Because what does it mean to be different? What that means is you have something which they don't have. And they have something which you do not have. But what is that thing? Is that thing good which you don't have? Or is that thing bad which you don't have? And if you look at the world nowadays, the state of people, state of society, maybe it's a good thing that you don't have what they have, but you have something else which they don't have. Because maybe that thing which you have that they don't have is exactly that type of suffering which they don't face, which will give you the type of gifts they will not receive. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, If you have no friends, that's a metaphor. It's a representation of where you're at spiritually. It can be. Doesn't mean you have to have no friends. Doesn't mean you can't have friends. But what that means is your friends, they mirror you. They mirror who you are, right? Because energetically, we attract the ones we're alike. So your friends are metaphors. If your friends are annoying, or they keep talking about nonsense or about meaningless things, and they keep dragging you down, or they uplift you and they make you feel better or whatever, it's all a metaphor. Everything's a metaphor. Your job, your family, your financial state, your body, it's all a metaphor. Metaphor for what? Where you are at on the spiritual journey. Because don't be caught up in the carnality of this world, in the sensory inputs which you can feel when you look around. You're walking a path, but the path is not physical. You merely use the physical in order to decipher the spiritual. See, this is what it is, because the physical is subordinate to the spiritual. So this is what happens when you take psychedelics. You can look at a chair and you can somehow realize that it's infinitely complex. And I'm not advocating psychedelics. They open portals and they can bring entities to you that want to enslave you. And you don't need to take psychedelics. All you need is Jesus. But a psychedelic can show you how infinitely meaningful something such as a chair is. Because it is. Because if God is real, then everything is infinitely meaningful and conscious and has a purpose. No matter how not important it might appear as. Because it's all in its proper place for a reason, right? And it's all guiding you. So decipher the signs, see the signs. If you want to see the signs and understand the signs more, because you grow with this as you go on the path, you start to see more synchronicities and signs, and you start to see how the divine speaks to you through your surroundings. As you grow, you see this more, and you grow by starving the flesh. Again, the same thing I've talked about earlier. It is duality. It is to choose the suffering. It is to live in spirit. To starve the flesh through self-denial, through humility, through fasting, through prayer, because praying is an act of surrender. When the prayer is finished, when you have entirely surrendered every single thing to Jesus. See, we always pray wrong actually, but then again, there is no wrong prayer. We pray, help me do this. We pray, help me do that. We pray, help me get through this. We pray, give me this, give me that. But these are all lesser forms of what the core, the basis of prayer should be, which is surrender. You got it. I have faith in you. I surrender everything to you. I know you see all my situations. You see all my desires. You see all my thoughts. You know what I don't. I don't even have to speak it out. If you want it, that's fine. That's cool. Ask for these things. It's a good meditation. But the goal of prayer is to get back into that state of full surrender. Fully surrender everything. Because sometimes, I met a girl yesterday. And I really like her, actually. I don't know if she has a good vibe. And I was praying to Jesus. I was like, let this be fruitful. Let this be a good date. Let this not be perverted or anything. Let this... And I kept saying how I want it to be. And then I realized, you got it. If she's meant for me, she will be. If she's not meant for me, she won't be. If you got it. And I came into this state of surrender. And this is what prayer should be. You've finished praying when you said everything that you had to say, because it's like a processing too, processing of where you're at, and it helps you formulate and plan and see, articulating things helps you put them into perspective and seeing things and working through things internally. But at the end, I was in this state. It's like, okay, I've articulated everything now, and now I realize I just have to surrender. I have to surrender everything and not ask for you to do it in some type of way, because you will do it in the way that you will do it, which is probably not going to be the way I would do it, because I'm imperfect. My will is not yet aligned with yours. So again, why am I saying this? Because prayer is surrender. Again, it's the same thing as humility, same thing as self-sacrifice. To the degree you humble yourself, you will see the signs, you will see the patterns, you will be blessed. You will escape the repeating things which you don't like. But if they're still there, there's still something that you have not yet learned, something which you're not quite seeing. And if you live in spirit, you're going to be allowed to see it. And then you can change. And then all of a sudden your surroundings change. Your surroundings are the result of your internal state. And at the same time, they are the metaphor to your future. It's both of these things. And here's the trick of Satan. There's a certain irony to this, because people can be enslaved by their surroundings if they choose to do so. They can say, well, my life is shit, so I cannot escape. So they continue doing what makes their life shit. Continuously getting the same result and then blaming the result which they got out of their actions for the reason they do the same action. Because they have no faith. They see in carnality, right? This would be an incel who is like, I don't get girls, so I'm gonna continue masturbate, right? We on semen retention, we know, stop masturbate, you would get a girl. I don't care how you look, it's about energy. You would get a girl. But he doesn't know that because he's carnal. So he's like, I don't get girls, so I will continue masturbate. And then because he masturbates, he doesn't get girls. And because he doesn't get girls, he masturbates. Satan's deception, because you're carnal, you do not see. And if you're spiritual and you have faith, that's why. Faith the size of a mustard seed. If that guy has faith the size of the mustard seed, the degree he has faith is going to be the degree to which his life is going to improve. And he will stop doing the action which produces his surroundings, even though he might not realize that his own action is producing his surroundings and he's not actually a victim to his surroundings. That's why faith, the seed of a mustard seed, is already enough, because it can grow. And that's where we all start. Whereas on the other hand, there's the flip side of this irony, which is, I stop masturbating so I get more women. I get more women are attracted to me. More women are attracted to me because I stop masturbating. And I stop masturbating because now more women are attracted to me. Or I don't work out because I'm weak. And because I'm weak, I don't work out. And because I don't work out, I'm weak. Or you have faith the size of a mustard seed. This is why working out, again, is a metaphor for something spiritual. You start to work out. I work out and I get stronger. I get stronger because I work out. Because I get stronger, I work out more. Because I work out more, I get even stronger. You don't have to look at this through the physical lens of building muscle. Look at it through the spiritual lens if you want to. It's an irony. But you can only escape once you have faith, once you see in the spiritual. If you're an atheist, if you were truly an atheist, because there are no true atheists on this planet, that's a separate video though, you could never escape, because you would forever be enslaved by your surroundings, because things are just the way they appear as. But if you're spiritual, you know that things aren't always the way they appear as, because there's more than appearance in of itself. There is being, there is truth, there is consciousness, right? This is why you need to surrender in order to receive faith. You need to be humble. You need to starve your flesh, so you do not see things through the carnal lens, so you are not enslaved by your surroundings, but instead you live through faith and you do the actions which will produce a better surrounding later on. And this mentality is going to be the mentality that will lead you to success here and in the hereafter. Because you take full responsibility now for every single thing that happens to you in life. Because you realize there is no thing that is accidental. Not even one grain of sand is accidental. It is all conscious and meaningful and has a purpose. And once you have that lens through which you view things, you know that your life is fully in your own hands. And God's hands, of course, but if you follow God, you'll have the best life you'll ever have. So you want the best that you could possibly have, and you can get to the best you can possibly have by following God. So it is all in your hands, essentially. And through that lens, by taking on full responsibility for every single thing, no matter if it physically doesn't make sense. Why was this guy mad at me? I don't see the physical connection. Well, then look spiritually. Why did this happen? Your energy attracted it, or that was a consequence of something else you did, because there are connections that you can see once you get more aligned, which physically do not make sense, but you can see them through spirit, through faith. So with that point of view, the point of view that you take on full responsibility, now all you need to do is humble yourself and have faith the size of a mustard seed and work contrary to what your surroundings suggest, and you will change your surroundings. You know, this saying, as within, as so without, or as within, as without, or something, is pretty true. God puts you exactly where you need to be, not 1 millimeter next to it, exactly where you need to be. You are exactly where you are, because you need to learn exactly that, whatever it is. And the things that are happening to you, they need to happen until you see, learn, go through it, and then they'll change. And if you're not learning, they're gonna stay there. Don't blame the world, don't blame anybody. That's Satan. Take responsibility, have faith, do what needs to be done. And that's how you grow spiritually. That's what it means. Because again, the patterns are everywhere. The patterns, the whole world is full of patterns. Like, I can't articulate it all. Just get in tune with it yourself, you know? Walk down the street, the patterns are everywhere. The metaphors, the signs. It's all around you. It's all, the whole life is a metaphor in some sense. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I enjoyed this, went on a tangent there, just felt like, speaking a bit. Sometimes I just feel like I want to make a video, just speak a bit. Maybe somebody enjoys it. Because I know, the nature of what I'm talking about, most people won't get it, but some are going to sit there and like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I cannot see it physically, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Because you have it too. Not everybody has it. Some people don't have it. They can't see it. Because they see with the real eyes or with the fake eyes. These are the fake eyes, These eyes, they don't see. They don't see it. They can't see it. If you have the spirit, you can see it. If you have the invisible path, you can see it. If you've been walking a path for years, but you cannot show it to anybody, the only person who can see the path is the person who's walked the path themselves, then you have it, Because it's a path. Where are we going? We're going to God. We're overcoming this world. We're transcending this world. Ending the illusion and realigning with what is good and eternal. Because we are good and eternal. And if we align, we ourselves become more good, more eternal. We shed the layers of ignorance and evil. That's the goal. That's why we must surrender, so God can overtake us and do what we cannot do on our own. So yeah, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a comment. Thank you. And if you watch this for the algorithm.